Oh, we are one love. Hear the call. Together we rise. Let compassion enthrone. In the morning light, the sun breaks free. A new day dawns. It's a sight to see. With hearts wide open, we stand as one, living in our truth, like the stars in the sun. From the mountains high to the valley low, we're spreading our wings, letting our spirits flow. In every soul, there's a spark divine, raising up the world. We're truly alive. Oh, we are one love. United we stand, bringing peace to the world. Hand in hand, waking up to nature, releasing all fears, sharing hope and compassion through the laughter and tears.
Good morning. Welcome. I'm so glad you're here. Thank you for being a part of this community. And I got to tell you something. I am super excited in spite of the fact that there's so much craziness going on in the world, as we've talked about. Bringing our attention to it is important, but keeping our attention on the craziness is not what's important. What's important is to see what is unfolding, see what is coming forward, see all of the possibilities that are before us right now. And so I'm grateful to be along with you on this journey. This month of February is the month of remembering. We're calling it the Great Remembering. It's in connection with the Great Emergence. You know, last month we talked about this was the time for us to experience arrival in our nervous system, so that these beliefs that we've said we've had, the powerful beliefs that we have said we believe in, actually are now becoming embodied. We're experiencing the embodiment of this, because ultimately, at the end of the day, it's not about what we say we believe, but it's about how we feel truly about what we say we believe. That connects us with the universal law. These are universal principles. So it's not enough for us to just say some things with our mouth. And again, affirmations are great. They're fantastic. But affirming it with our feeling, as we were told many times by Neville Goddard years and years ago, and a lot of the teachings have come to light recently, that this is about wishes fulfilled. If you can feel it in your body as the sensation of the truth, you begin to align your nervous system with that higher truth. This is one of the reasons that we notice a lot of people, and there's a deeper teaching in this, and I'm actually putting one together because this has been a personal evolution for me, that a lot of times it seems like the corrupt people in the world tend to, it looks like they are being so successful and so prosperous. And really, it's not because of their goodness or badness. It's because of their coherence. They actually believe that they deserve to be wealthy and to be healthy and to be successful. Because they believe it, they begin to receive it, because there's a coherence in their system. And that's what I'm asking us to do this year. As this is the Great Emergence, it's not just the urgency and the emergency that we're seeing all around us in the chaos, but it is the catalytic power that it has. When we start to come into full coherence with the truth that we are entering a new earth, that we are here to help create a new world and a new world order that's in alignment with compassion, that's in alignment with love, that's in alignment with joy and with peace and all of the fruits of the Spirit, as it's referred to by St. Paul of the Christian Bible. As we do that, we are allowing ourselves to really come into full alignment with the truth. So it's not as much even your assignment as it is your alignment that makes the assignment possible. I'm learning this for myself, and as I'm learning it, I'm inviting you along. So this month is the Great Remembering. This is week 1. We are getting into You Have Always Been This. Somebody pat yourself on the chest and say, I have always been this. And if I was going to subtitle this, it would be Stop Trying So Hard to Become What You Already Are. Loved ones, look, I'm welcoming us into February, and I'm saying we are welcome to what I'm calling the Great Remembering, because what we've called becoming is actually just remembering. You're not becoming worthy. You are remembering you always were worthy. You're not becoming whole. You are remembering that you never stopped being whole, not in reality. You are not necessarily becoming divine as much as you are remembering. You are remembering that you were never anything else but divine. You are a divine being having a human experience and expression. Now, I know some of you may be thinking, now, John, that sounds beautiful, but my life is a mess. And I agree. Some of our lives are a mess. They're so messy that they qualify for federal disaster, as a federal disaster zone. But listen to me. Listen to me. The mess is not your identity. It's just your current weather. You are not the storm that you're experiencing. You are the sky that hosts the storm, and it's the grasping to the storm that makes it feel like you're unified with it. If you're in alignment with the storm, my nose is itching for some reason. If you're in alignment with the storm, then you feel like it's one with you, but it's not you. You are the sky hosting the storm. Release the storm and let it do what it's come to do. Somebody say amen before I start levitating up in here for real. So the first thing I want to look at is becoming is often just spiritual hustling. Let me say something that might set some of you free immediately. I know it did to me as soon as I felt to write this. Most of us don't approach spirituality like it's a homecoming. We approach it like it's self-improvement and like we are a project to be fixed. It's like God is out there outside of us, waiting for us to show up and do the right thing. We approach it like it's a self-improvement project. It's like God is handing out report cards or something, and it's the external being that's judging us. It's like, John, overall, you're really doing fine, but you're still scoring low in patience and emotional regulation. Some of you, I know I have, treat spiritual growth like CrossFit. You think if you do enough reps of gratitude, enough affirmations, enough journaling, enough breath work, another meditation, enough celery juice, you will feel enlightened or finally be enlightened. Friends, let me tell you though, some of us are so committed to self-improvement that your inner child is tired, exhausted. That child is like, hey, listen, can we just be loved today without needing some kind of a big breakthrough? Because here's the thing. Here's the thing I want us to hear. You don't always need a breakthrough. Sometimes you just need a break. Type it in the comments. I just need a break. You don't need a breakthrough. You need a break. Because spiritual maturity, it's not a race to the top of some mountain of spiritual achievement. Spiritual maturity is realizing you've been home the whole time within your being. It's why Eckhart Tolle says it like this: you are not your mind. You are the host of the thoughts, but you're not your mind. And if that's true, then why are we trying to fix ourselves by thinking harder? That's like trying to clean your kitchen by turning up the radio. Now listen closely to this, because I know that many of us, excuse me, this cough has been trying to hang on, but it's not going to shut me up. Many of us have been trying to succeed by doing the right amount of memorization, the right amount of affirmation, supposedly helps our strength in meditation and in manifestation. But you have always been divine. You've always been this. The love you're searching for, it's not ahead of you. It's underneath the fear, underneath the mask. It's underneath all of the strategery, the strategy. It's underneath the performance. Rumi said, and I love Rumi. Rumi said, "You were born with wings. Why prefer to crawl through life?" Now, here's the thing. We don't crawl because we're evil or because we're low vibration. We crawl because we've essentially been taught to crawl. Let me say that again. We don't crawl because we're evil. We crawl because we learned to crawl. We've been taught to crawl. You crawled to survive. Some of you didn't have the luxury of being fully yourself growing up. You had to become the peacemaker. You had to become the achiever. You needed to be the quiet one, the clown, the person who was always making everybody laugh and at your own expense. You became the caretaker, the don't make waves kid. And I came to tell somebody a little something. You adapted, you survived, but you are not required to keep living in survival. Ram Dass said, "We're all just walking each other home, not walking each other to a new identity, walking each other home." In the process of this walking, people will say, "Yeah, but the ego. What do I do with the ego?" Now, I want us to think of the ego differently. I've been thinking of the ego differently lately. Now, I've said for a long time the ego is not something that we're supposed to kill or destroy or, dissolve even. It's really more about resolving and aligning it, understanding what it is and what it isn't, and bringing it into alignment with a higher truth. But the ego is not your enemy. The ego is just dramatic. Now let's talk about the ego, because some of you, I know I did, grew up with this idea that ego equals evil, self equals sin, and desire equals demonic. Meanwhile, in our lives, I don't know about you, but in my life, half of the church people were rebuking demons while needing therapy and a nap. That's all they needed was therapy and a nap. And they were calling out devils. I almost want to say, let the church say, Let me help us heal this. Let me heal this for us real quick. The ego is not evil. Pat yourself on the chest and say, the ego is not evil. Say to your ego, ego, you're not evil. You see, this realization is the magic because it keeps us from having an enemy that's a creation of a religious paradigm. The ego is not evil. The ego is a nervous system response. The ego is kind of like a hyperactive bodyguard. The ego isn't your enemy. The ego is not your enemy. You are not at enmity with the ego. In fact, the ego is a part of your life, a part of your existence. Ego is just the part of you that says, I'm going to control everything so I don't get hurt again. Ego is that friend who means well, but is all the time ruining your vacations. You're trying to rest. The ego is out here trying to produce. The ego is like, hey, yeah, but what if they don't like us? What if it doesn't work? What if we get abandoned again? What if we're behind? What if we're not ahead of the game? What if we're not enough? This is what the ego is constantly doing while you're trying to rest. This friend, this ego, is ruining your vacation because it wants to constantly make sure that in some way it's helping you to survive. And it believes it's doing the greater work for you. But it's saying, what if we're not enough? And folks, here's the thing. If you get to believing the ego, that's when you start to drown in it. The ego is the part of you who reads one self-help book and suddenly thinks it's a CEO of your life and needs to run everything. But here's the true freedom. This is the real liberation. You are not your ego, and your ego is not evil, but you are the awareness that notices the ego and its work. Eckhart Tolle calls it the awareness of presence. the awareness of presence. And presence is the greatest gift that you'll ever have. It's what happens when you stop arguing and fighting with the moment and you start living in the present moment, in spite of the fact that the ego for so long has been in charge of trying to make sure you look good and sound good and come across as good. Now, I have been digging more into the Tao lately, getting back into my really the study of my life, which is Taoism. And so I want to look at the Tao for a moment. And I want to look at the concept in the Tao that says, stop forcing the river. As I bring the Tao Te Ching into this, I want to look at that concept because there's a non-resistance, there's a non-fighting that occurs when you become a real student of the Tao. One of my favorite teachings is this, that the Tao does nothing, yet nothing is left undone. Now, that line, it messed me up, but I'll tell you something else it does. It messes up Western religious people because Western religion loves effort. In fact, most religion does. It loves striving. It loves earning. It loves proving. It loves try harder. But the Tao says, stop forcing the river. Some of you are exhausted because you're trying to force your unfolding. You're trying to micromanage your emergence. You're trying to schedule your miracles. You're trying to plan your peace at a later time when everything works out. And God is like, I'm not your employee. The universe is like, I'm not your employee. You can't just plan this. The Tao says the fruit ripens when the proper time has come. The fruit ripens when the season comes. And some of you are trying to harvest your fruit in February when it's not scheduled until April or May. And you're mad at God. You're mad at God because it hasn't come to pass. No, baby, that's not God punishing you. That's not even spiritual warfare. That's agriculture. That's just how it works. And the Tao is trying to help us to get in alignment with that higher truth. Now, Jesus goes on to teach us, and this is the fifth principle I'd like to look at today. The kingdom is within you. We've talked about this a lot, but let's anchor this in Jesus as well, because we're looking at Lao Tzu. We've looked at some Buddhist principle. We looked at some universal law principles. But Jesus taught this as well. Jesus said, and I quote here, the kingdom is within you. Not the kingdom is after you get it together. Not the kingdom is once you finally conquer all your bad habits. Not the kingdom is after you've been consistent for 60 days with that new meditation and prayer plan and that read the Bible through. No, within you. That means the kingdom, the divine, isn't hiding behind something in the future. The divine is in the now, in the present moment. So let's modernize it in our language. Stop looking for God in the next upgrade. God is already here, and God is already you, as you, in you, through you, right here, right now. Some of us think, I'll say this for sure, for me, it's been the case. Some of you think you're on a spiritual journey to become more holy, but you are already holy. You're just traumatized. You're just tired. You're just exhausted. You see what's going on in the world around us and you believe for a new earth, but the experience in the meantime is extremely painful and is extremely disorienting. So you're already holy. You're just traumatized. You're just tired. You just need a break. You're just carrying stories that aren't yours. They aren't yours to carry anymore. Pat yourself on the chest and say, I'm ready to lay down the stories that are not mine. I'm ready to lay down the stories that are not mine. I am ready. In fact, say it this way, I am laying down the stories that aren't mine. Here's what I think is in this month of becoming and recognizing who we are, remembering more than becoming something, remembering that we are. I believe much of the real work is unlearning. And so some would say, what is the work then? What are we here to do? If you already are this, then what do I need to do? I think we unlearn. I think we stop living from the false self. We stop confusing our wounds with our identity, our coping with our calling. We stop identifying our performance with our presence or confusing the two. You are not becoming anything. You're simply removing the cover. You are removing the cover that has had it hid. It's like Michelangelo said about sculpting David. All he said was, I simply removed everything that was not David. That's spiritual growth. That is spiritual growth. You're not being improved. You're being revealed. You are being exposed as the truth of your nature. Your authentic and true original self is coming forward in the midst of all of the pain. You're not broken. You are human. Let me give you some relief here right now in this present moment. Some of you are so hard on yourself. You judge yourself for having emotions. You judge yourself for being tired. You've been judging yourself for being triggered, for being messy, for being inconsistent. And I want to tell you something. That is religious trauma wearing a self-help hoodie. You are allowed to be a spiritual person and still have moments where you want to cuss, fuss, and hang out with people who do. Sometimes you want to cuss somebody out in traffic. Some of you had an anointed worship experience and then you argued with your spouse in the parking lot right after service. That does not mean you're fake. That means you're married. Y'all heard? Don't tell Carrie. That means you're married. I know I'm preaching better than y'all clapping right now. You put y'all's hands together, somebody. That doesn't mean that you're failing. It doesn't mean that you're not spiritual. It means that you are married. It means that you're human. And so I want to take us through a few affirmations, if you'll allow me here. We're going to practice remembering right now, not later, not after you earn it, not after you fix everything, now. So I'm asking you, put your hand on your heart. If you want to just take a breath and repeat after me. I release the need to have it all together. I do not need to be perfect to be powerful. I bless my humanity and stop fighting it. I am not a problem to solve. I am a life to live. Now, what I would like to do is for us to join together on what I would call a closing anchor. Everybody together. I remember what is real. I return to my deep original self. I rest in presence. And I welcome myself home. Take one more breath. And feels what happens when you stop reaching and you stop resisting and you start resting. That rest is not laziness. That rest, my friend, is wisdom. That rest is you remembering. Somebody say, I'm remembering. I'm remembering. Loved ones, look back at me on the screen if you would. The great emergence is not you transforming into a better person. The great emergence is you returning to what has always been true. And the truth is that you're already love. You are already worthy. You are already held. You are already divine. And the next time your mind tries to tell you you're behind, tell your mind, baby, I'm not behind. I'm remembering. I'm remembering. And then the next time that your ego says you're not enough, tell your ego, thank you for trying to protect me, but I'm safe now. And the next time life gets messy, in 15 minutes from now, remember, you are not the storm. You are the sky hosting the storm. Rumi said, what you seek is seeking you. And I would add, what you are looking for has been looking out of your eyes the whole time. So today we don't strive. We don't survive. Today we don't audition. We don't crawl. Today we remember and we come home. We come home to our true self. As Muji said, everything you're looking for is found in the place from which you are looking. We come home. And so this month of February, as all of the world is swirling about and all kinds of things are happening, as the revelation and the continued transformation is occurring, welcome yourself home. It's time to remember the truth of your nature and value that truth in you. All right, my friends, that's what I have for you today. I love you so much. I'm grateful for you. I'm honored to serve you this food, and I hope that it is meaningful to you today. I hope it's been a blessing to you. I want to ask you to continue to support this ministry in whatever way you feel called to the best of your ability. Begin to align yourself with the truth of prosperity in every area of your life, not just monetarily, abundance, not just in money and in success in terms of business and material success, but success in your relationships, success in the goals for your life, success in your vision for your life, in your dreams, knowing that you are already exactly who you were meant to be. It just may be covered up by some muck. So the idea is to really remember who we are and emerge out of it, recognizing that all that was ever put upon you now becomes alchemized into fuel, fertilizer, if you will, that's going to help you to grow even faster. All right, my friends, I'm getting out of here now because it's time for me to go. I love you. Peace and grace to you. Stay warm. I know it's a cold weekend. Oh my God. Stay warm. Stay warm in your heart mostly. And we'll see you next time.